Hi everyone, my name is Francis Curtis, and today with me we have, introduce yourself.
William Quigg.
William Quigg. William Marble
Quigg,
Quigg.
that's right.
So today I am going to be interviewing William Marble Quigg, aka Dish, as he's commonly known, for the archives of the family, I guess you would say. Today is December 30th, Monday, December 30th, 2024.
Okay.
And we're in Phoenix, Arizona, at Connie's house.
Super.
Boom. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. My first question is... Oh, this is a good one. Okay. If you could have dinner with anyone, ever, any time period, anything, who would it be?
My father.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And why?
He died when I was 16, so I never had an adult conversation with him. Who is he? What's he like? I don't know. I mean, I only know one version, and that's he died just at my 16th birthday, so 15 young years, and you don't have in-depth
Right.
conversations about your life and
Right.
what's important and all that sort of stuff. So yes, that would be my first choice.
That's...
Do you,
And only choice.
would it be helpful to share the story you shared with us yesterday at church about the former employee?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Maybe there are a couple of stories that really say who he is. Can I tell the fire one too?
Yes.
Because it ties in. Well, the first one was when I was 10 or so. I don't know, somewhere in there. It was Saturday night. My parents were having a cocktail party, and everybody was going out for dinner, going someplace. And my mother asked me to go up to her bedroom and get some aspirin out of a drawer next to her bed. And we lived in the country, 120 acre farm and dirt road, rural, but close to town. I mean, you could see the city lights. And it was, I call it my fire making stage of life, where I like to set fires in the field and
We all have one.
that sort of thing. So I went up, and they had a four-poster bed with lace lining underneath and on the top, you know. I got the aspirin out, and there were a box of matches there, and I set the bed on fire. Don't ask me why.
You just did it.
I just did it.
Oh my.
So I go down, and I get it out, and getting under the bed, you know, and climbing it out. Of course, got stuff in my hair, which I didn't notice. And my dad said, you know, where'd you get all that in hair? And I said, well, we killed some chickens today, and I was in the sandbox. I mean, it was insane. That's what I remember. And they took off. And I ran out in the front of the house, and it wasn't the woods, but there were some trees out there, and I could hide. It was just dark, you know, 7 o'clock at night.
Oh my God.
And they were all getting ready to leave. And I hid from everybody, and my sisters were there, and everybody's yelling, Bill, Bill, Bill. And I finally gave up. My dad picked me up, put me on his shoulders, carried me back to the house, which is an equivalent of a block and a half of normal walking, and put me to bed and never said anything. Didn't say one word on the way back, and never mentioned it again in his lifetime. So my question would be, why, what prompted that? But
Yeah.
so you talk about forgiveness.
Yeah.
There it is. And that's the way he admonished me on all things. But the story about the next story was, I'm an adult. I mean, I'm moving from Beaumont, Texas to Richmond, and we have our house across from where I grew up. I had 4 acres, and there was a I call it the weekend church, if people are familiar with that, which was a church, a small church next door on the property, which was only inhabited on the weekends when the itinerant ministered. They had a picnic every summer, and it's right next to us, and volleyball tent and games and stuff. And they invited us over for the meal. And we went. Well, I went over there. And this lady came up to me who had to have been maybe in her 70s or 80s, because this is 1980 and this 82 or so, 83, and this incident is the 1940s. And I say that because he died in March of 1950. So she's talking about, he was head of the baking company, and she's talking about when she worked at the baking company, which basically in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So how many years before or what, I don't know. Are you Eugene Quigg's son? And I said, yes. And she said, I worked at the baking company under your father. He was the best boss I ever had. And I kind of asked, I think I asked her what she did. She was on the line, in the bread line or something, just a normal routine hourly job, 125 employees. And she said he was the best boss I ever had. He knew my name. That's it. He knew my name. So those are the only kind of two stories I have about him that show his character and kind of what he was like.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing that he sounds like he was amazing.
So even though he only lived 16 years of my life, he had a lifetime impact.
Yeah.
Because of those and other instances which I've forgotten, because I was always good.
Right. Of course. Next question. If you could get back in touch with like a friend you had growing up at like any age, like a really good friend you had, if you could just like get in touch with them, who would it be?
Well, that's tough because I kind of grew up by myself. I did not grow up in a neighborhood.
That's true.
And I went to a country school, we call it. We lived outside the city limits, so the bus took me to didn't take me to the city schools. It was a borderline school on the edge of out of town, and there was only one road with residents on it near where I was to ride the bus. So everybody else came from another area, and they weren't they weren't friends of my family, my parents. So I didn't have any children because of that. Other parents, friends who had children my age. My sisters were 7 and 9 years older than I was, and they were young for their crowd. So therefore, all the children I saw were my sister's age,
right?
Not mine. And I didn't. My school buddies lived somewhere, so I didn't really have any close friends. And I had to be taken anywhere to be with anybody. So after school, I'm home alone on the farm. And I was really only close to my closest friend was my first cousin, Jim Quigg, who lived maybe 4 or 5 miles away. And we worked on the farm together, went to school together, and went to George School together. So he was I would say, my closest friend, who just died maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember, something like that. So that's who it would be.
Have a little chat with him.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody from like, maybe like you worked with in the Coast Guard or
No.
like in college that you like are just curious
No,
about?
I was. Well, let's take college. I went to University of Virginia.
All right.
80% of the students were from Virginia, and I'm from Indiana.
Yeah.
They went home on the weekends. I looked up 1,400 students, and not very many.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody. I'm from Indiana, and one of the few out-of-staters. It was, and people were think of it, Virginia is a state school.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
realize.
they think of it private or whatever. No, it's a state school. So there are a lot of, most of the students are from Virginia. Back then, how would you go? It's a long trip.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
So a lot of people from Arlington up by DC and Norfolk, and all my friends were, most of my friends were from Norfolk, Virginia. Well, I don't know, you know, I stayed in touch with 2 or 3 of my fraternity brothers. Other from that, was kind of certainly my freshman year, a loner's life. I'm home on the weekend and everybody's gone. And then I got involved with the local with the school radio station, which was also an isolated job.
Yeah.
So I go down there and disc jockey on Sunday morning and things like that. And it was not the in thing to do. As far as the students were concerned, yeah. So it was kind of a quiet existence, if you kind of weird, but that was me. That was because I had always been by myself.
Yeah, that was comfortable for you.
Never did the guy things.
Yeah.
Like golf and tennis and so forth.